Random thought. If you were single, could you date a 40-year-old virgin?
I will not answer that question because my wife still listens to the podcast. She's like, I don't want to have that. Hey, why are you answering if you were single questions? Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Yanni Rude.
And I'm just Terrell. You ever been out somewhere and overheard two people having crazy conversations?
Well, we are those people, and we've been having these conversations since college.
Yep, it's the Regular Guys Random Thoughts Podcast, episode 119. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, and leave a review.
And thank you to everybody that has already been doing that and spreading the word. Keep spreading the word. Keep spreading the news. Because we'll keep coming back every week, as many times as you like, until we'll do another reality TV show if you like.
Maybe so. So, on this 40-year-old virgin topic, the reason why I asked that, there
Mhm.
was a article that came out about Lolo Jones. So those that know Lolo Jones,
Yeah,
highly
Lolo.
decorated athlete, Olympian,
Olympic
the
track and
track
field star.
star,
Yep.
bobsledding. I mean, she's done it all, and she has been pretty vocal about her Christian faith, and that she took the stand of abstinence and wants to wait till she gets married to have children or to
Can I
have sex.
can I say real quick? I've always heard of this abstinence thing. I think it was like a decade ago she did it. I didn't know it was based on Christian faith. This was the decision she made.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that now it comes out that this is that. And maybe I just didn't read deep enough. But go ahead.
Mhm. So it is based on her Christian values, which
Mhm.
highly respect that. And in the article, she talks about the struggles of dating
Mhm.
and how it's been hard for her to date, trying to find men who are serious. And she struggles between, if I go after someone of a high Christian faith as mine, there's struggles there. If she tries to date people who are not religious, there's struggles there. Are they attractive, are they rich, whatever, all these different challenges that she has, and it boils down to guys probably not willing to wait that long to be with her. And I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, okay, in your 20s it's different than in your 40s, right? But you figure if you met her today, you think the courting stage, let's say 6 months, let's say everything moves quickly, 6 months, you're in love and you propose. I doubt that she's going to go to Vegas and do a drive-through wedding and then go straight to the hotel. So probably another 6 months to plan the wedding and the whole deal. I mean, it's a long period of time. So the question is, should guys wait, or would you wait? I know I couldn't do
Hold up.
that.
You just said 6 months to plan a wedding. That's a small wedding. And 6 months to plan a wedding. And every woman that's listening to this went, what? six
I
months?
said I'm saying if you're going to go at the speed of light from the time that you met
So a
to when
year.
you get
Okay.
married, at
Mhm.
best 6 months to fall in love and get engaged,
Mhm.
6 months to put a wedding together. That's fast. Because
Mhm.
knowing she's not probably not going to do, let's go to Vegas and elope, and get married because of love. And so I'm just saying, could people do that? I know I couldn't.
My first question is because in the new generation of not having sex, there's a lot of other things. And what part of sex is she covering? All sex bases. So is there only you're sitting in the batter's box and that's where you stay? You never get to first base, or you just get to first base and that's it? Singles, that's it only. You don't get to second base, you don't get to third base. Is the old school, hitting the home run or whatnot. But there's so many different things that people have done over the time, right? Whether and for them not having sex was sexual intercourse, male, female, penis, vagina. That's what they considered, because there are a lot of other things that were being done. But that's the younger generation.
Right.
Lolo is 40 years old. So as she's saying this, now she did this when she was 30. And I remember when this came out. And the first thing that came to mind was, why say this? Now she's saying
Mhm.
that dating got harder when she said this, because some people probably saw it as a challenge. I bet you I can. And then it becomes this. Dating is hard though, regardless whether sex is involved or not.
Yeah.
Dating is tough. Now she's narrowing the field down to somebody who's gonna like her, love her for who she is. But she's got some standards. They got to be attractive. They got to have money because she's worth money, and they got to be able. They What is she allowing them to do? No, she doesn't want them going out there and having sex the whole time. So does she want a virgin too? Because that's going to cut it down to maybe two people in America.
No. I don't think she's expecting a virgin at all. She's expecting somebody to wait.
Right. So is but here's the other part of that. Is it wrong to expect somebody to wait? Because if sex is the reason that you're with somebody, you're an idiot. And I will say this again. If sex is the reason you're with somebody, you're an idiot. And I say that for the simple fact of if that is the one reason that you're gonna be with somebody or not somebody, now if the sex is trash and you know there's other things going on, and you're just like, yeah, I can't because that on top of this, then so be it. But if the one reason you're not gonna be with somebody is because of sex, you're an idiot.
So I don't think that's the case. I don't think that there's guys out there that their only reason for being with her is because the sex is amazing. And I agree. If your only motivation in loving somebody is the sex is great, that's dumb.
Hmm.
But here's the challenge that I think she's running into. To your point, she's a beautiful woman. She is very intelligent, athlete, very accomplished. So many great things about her that she's not going to date the assistant manager at Walmart. She's going to have to date a guy who also has some very positive things going about himself, whether it be his career, personally, financially. How many guys like that are going to wait? If she dates an athlete, right? Let's say she meets an NBA player and
That ain't happening.
why would he wait? Because he has all these other options. So maybe it could be she has to go for somebody I would just call average. When I say average, not average looking, but they're not at this top echelon of men in status because those men at that level have options.
Oh, but so if her standard is a certain level of status, does that mean she has to drop her standards? I mean, I'm never one to tell anybody to drop your standards. Just understand, and I don't want to hear you complain because you're not meeting what you want. I mean, when we have standards, you have standards, I have standards, right? And but there was no complaining along the way to getting to where you want to be because the person you want to be with. I met my wife, great. I wasn't complaining up until that point because at the same time, but you understand, I am not gonna just have kids with anybody. I'm not
Right.
gonna just marry just anybody just
Right.
because you know what your standards are. Your stubborn self, are not gonna just settle for anybody.
I'm
Do
not
not
saying
make
that
that
she needs to lower her standard. What I'm saying is if she met a guy who he is the manager of the Marriott Courtyard downtown.
right.
Good guy, maybe he even goes to church on Sundays, has good credit, doesn't make a ton of money. He's not as doesn't have many accolades behind him as she does, but he's a good dude and he's attractive.
Mhm.
What's wrong with dating that guy?
Right.
Because that guy, he's gonna be like, "Are you kidding me? I get to go on a date with Lolo Jones?"
Mhm.
Yes. But if you're dating other superstars, other athletes, other entertainers that are at that level,
Right.
why? Like in 2012, she dated Ndamukong Suh.
Mhm.
Okay, they're not together, obviously. And he wasn't her first, but he has so I mean, you date players or people like that that have all these options, all these women chasing after him.
Yep.
At some point, he's gonna want more than just a cuddle session.
So basically what you're saying is don't lower your standards, but expand the pool, which you're right. You
Yes.
have to expand the pool because you know what? It takes, and probably just not just always leave it. I noticed that one thing she's talking about was when do I tell them that I'm not having sex? Well, first of all, you've told the world, so you don't have to tell them anything. Anybody going on a date with you knows it ain't happening. This has got to be for some serious. So my next question is, what is it about her that turns other people off, or what is it about the other people that turns her off? Because there's something stopping them from getting further. Because you don't need sex to fall in love. We know that. Does it
Hmm.
help? For some people, yes. For some people, that's the main reason they get in relationships because I don't want anybody else having any of this goodness. Well, like people like to say, I don't want to buy the car before I test drive it. Look, if you get a Maserati, do you really need to test drive it?
Well, true. I don't know. I can't say that something is wrong. And personally, I applaud Lolo Jones for having her standard
Hmm.
and not changing it.
Hmm.
And it's unfortunate that this is the struggle that she's going to have. But look at the reverse. How many people do we know that have been married multiple times and
Yep.
it went bad? They got a bunch of kids by a bunch of different people and went bad.
Mhm.
Had they had that same type of standard, maybe their life wouldn't have turned out the way it did. And I think she has a lot to lose. She just can't just date and hook up with anybody, because there's a lot to her that she could lose in that if it goes bad. So I
Not
applaud her. I
really.
feel sorry for her, but she's gonna. It's gonna be tough. And like, what I don't get is, if you're really religious, wouldn't your first pool of people be people from your church? And what's wrong with that group? Which, I
Um,
mean, don't get me wrong, they're men too. So I
I'm
get
about to
it.
say, have I know you haven't been to church in a while, but yeah, there are people who go to church just looking for hunting for women, and I'm like, that's like even the women who go to church hunting for men. I'm like, yeah, it's really not the that shouldn't be the reason you go to church. If you happen to meet somebody, so be it. And I think the problem is when people go looking, 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 as opposed to here, just be you be good, you'll meet. Right now, of course, you'll say no. Jump on the apps, go do what you want to do. Jump on. Maybe she needs to go on ChristianMingle.com and that might help her out. Maybe Farmers Only. Something a little different to, to try something different. But the thing about it that I think is it boils down to with her. I agree with you. She is to be applauded because 10 years later, she's still standing strong on it.
Yep.
Now, I remember there was a radio personality years ago who was pushing their abstinence and promoting it, and it was great, especially for young girls. I haven't heard that in years, and it's probably because that's been out the window. Right now, same thing with Taylor Swift. Remember Brandy? Brandy used to pitch that perfect girl image, and then that's why she had to fake that she was married when she got pregnant. Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift was this virtuous person who wasn't having sex with anybody. And then all of a sudden, that just went out the window. And people just accepted that, well, she's an adult now.
Well, things happen, yada yada yada. I mean,
And they
I
know,
I get it.
don't ask her because she's you don't want that kind of smoke.
I get it. Well, and to her point, I think you should say it. You shouldn't have that shouldn't be the first part of your conversation on a first date.
Right.
But also, men shouldn't come out and talk about sex on the first date. And how many times do guys do that? But
Exactly.
I think if it comes up, put it out there and say it.
Mhm.
And if the right man who wants to look beyond that and wants to be, he's going to go through
Yes.
all of it.
Mhm.
But put it out there. That way, it's probably going to save her time, because some people are going to be like, well, shoot, I don't know if I could, you know, do it. Now, I think it's easy when she was probably in her 20s. It'd probably be easier to meet a guy who's willing to do it. It's just if she's dating people around her age range, it's going to be hard
Yeah.
because she's not going to come across many 40-year-old virgins.
Right. Indeed. Again, kudos to Lolo for sticking it. It's been a decade and she's been sticking with it. And I gotta say, to everybody else that fell by the wayside, not like it's anybody else's business. So we don't care whether Taylor is still or not, Brandy, whatever she was doing. Lolo, here you are 10 years later saying, ladies, it can still be done, but I'm lonely. But kudos to you. Man, this was really tough. Friday, they were prepping us since Thursday about the video being released, Tyre Nichols in Memphis, right? And they did a lot of prep. So you knew this was going to be bad. You knew it was
Hmm.
going to be really bad. The video came out. I've only watched parts of it, and I know a lot of people who are online saying, "Don't watch it." There's a lot of people on social media saying, "Don't watch it. We don't need to watch it. The family's already been through enough." The family had seen it. The family told you it was going to be bad too. So it's not like you're saving the family from it. Did you gain anything from seeing it? That's been a big debate. But you watched the video, and what have you seen from this? Or what's your takeaway on what these five cops did to Tyre Nichols?
You know, it was hard to watch because I figured it was going to be bad, but I still didn't even expect this,
Mhm.
from what I saw. And I think it's four total videos. You got to be able to piece them all together.
Right.
Um, when you watch them initially pull him out the car, right there, I'm like, help me understand, why did it get to that level? Why are you, yanking him out the car and all the yelling and stuff that they're doing around it? And then, as I read more, this was the Scorpion unit. and the
Mhm.
Scorpion unit was put together in 2021 to combat crime in Memphis, and Memphis does have a lot of crime. So I get it, right? But you have this task force that's put together for that. But I'm looking at, there was nothing about this young man that seemed like he was a threat. And even once you
Right.
had him out and had him on the ground, all the yelling and MFs and all the things they were doing, I mean, there was nothing about him. So it was a threat. And so watching him, when he took off and ran, and then the beat down that they did on him repeatedly, I just couldn't believe that I'm watching. It bothered me to see cops doing it. It
Mhm.
really bothered me to see 5 black cops do it, because I remember the first time I saw something like this was the Rodney King video, and I was young, and I'm like, "Holy crap." Like, you heard about it in rap songs, you heard about it happening, but to physically see this happening,
Right.
and then to see these guys doing this to this young man, and then what pissed me off even more, if it's possible, is once other first responders started to show up, no one is looking. You can hear the camera and the audio. No one's looking at this kid and looking at these cops like, what the hell are y'all doing? There was nothing about this kid that said that he deserved that. And then listening to the cops try to get their stories together, and he had his hand on my gun the whole time and all that stuff. And he was on something. He must have threw it. He must have threw it when he took off running, like trying to get their stories together. You see why there's a lot of mistrust within the police department, that people have, and it's not just white cops, black cops too. But I just couldn't believe it, and the parents knew that the video was bad, and they also encouraged people to see it. It reminded me of Emmett Till's mother,
Mhm.
with let's video this and put this out here, let people see what they did, because it's more impactful. And it it's hard, man. It's hard to watch, but it's just hard to believe that we're still dealing with this, and to see black cops doing it just pissed me off.
Not surprising. I mean, at the end of the day, and I say not surprising in the fact that the black cop thing, and that people, oh well, it can't be about race because it's black. The cops are black, and I always hate when people make that about any stop that's out there. Any kind of brutality, because I've always said it's not about the race of the cop; it's about the race of the civilian, right? Because regardless of how you look at it, people are treated differently. There's no black person you're going to see the video of them yelling back at the cop, telling them, "I'll pay your salary," and I'm like, "Well, you know what? Yeah, go on, please go." And you won't see those. So this to me is not as surprising about the people involved in it. I've had a lot of candid conversations with cops over the years, and they've even said, like, yeah, if we see somebody black with dreads, which is not describing Tyre Nichols, yeah, we'll run their tags. And it's something I always felt, because I noticed whenever a cop was about to pass me, he'd slow down, get behind me, and run my tags. And I know he's running my tags, because what else are you pulling behind me for and sitting back there for a minute to see what comes up? Oh, nothing. Oh, now you go. Bye. Have a good one. They don't do that when they see a white man in the car. They
Hmm.
do that when it's somebody black. And in this case, I think, the aggression that's there, I think we've seen enough movies that when they have these special units, it's about there's a level of a gang mentality. And I think you don't look at it as more racial, but more so power. I think it's in that space of um in that space of being in that elite group within the force, that I can do what I want to do. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. What does matter is the civilian. And that civilian happened to be a black man.
I agree, and I do think it's power. I don't look at these 5 cops as they're racist. I think it's this power thing. Now, don't know that neighborhood that they were in, and in this case, I can't even try to give any form of benefit of the doubt to try to see it through their eyes. All I'm saying is the moment that they engaged with him when they yanked him out of his car, there should have been a cooler head that prevailed that said, "Hey, calm down. Here's why we pulled you over." Da, 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 and de-escalate that situation. All of them were amped up and ready to fight,
Hmm.
and ready to inflict harm. And then once he ran, once they caught back up with him, after that, it's like they enjoyed it, and they got this adrenaline rush from it, and it's the power that they had.
Hmm.
But even still, how do you get this type of job and you're in the force and you have this mentality? Because it just amazes me that I'm sure there are other Scorpion units out there
Oh yeah.
somewhere that's doing some of this stuff. It just hasn't got caught. And even if he was a criminal, let's say he was a drug dealer, that he had a kilo of coke in the trunk of the car. Did he deserve that?
It's
No.
so it's the mentality. It's the we're going to war mentality, right? And it's twofold in the sense that they almost have to have that and to be effective, but there's no off switch, and there was nobody there to flip that switch for everybody else to come down. And so in that case, yes, you see that where and there's a lot of outrage about this, and there should be.
Yeah.
What I hate is that people are taking this to go, well, see, it's not about race. It still is. Stop it. Because when you can go down the list of names, and it doesn't matter whether the cop is white, the cop is black. There were multiple ethnicities around George Floyd. So again, it's not about the race of the cop, and I'm always going to go there. It's not about the race of the cop because I've been treated good by white cops, treated bad by white cops, good by black cops, bad by black cops. It's not about the cop, it's about the civilian.
Well, I think it's what we have to do is not try to mix everything into one argument. There are racial police officers. Yes, this was five white cops that did this to a white, blonde hair, blue eyed kid. No one would bring up the race thing at all. They would just say police brutality. But we can't mix it all into one. They can be two separate issues. In this situation, I think that all of the and it hasn't been as crazy as the George Floyd, but I think all the people who are upset and want justice is valid. What I'm curious about is these five cops were arrested and they're all out on bond. Their families. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I couldn't imagine if that was one of my cousins. I'd be mad as hell. And I'd be calling him like, you did what? Da-da-da-da. I mean, I couldn't be cool with you anymore. You're no longer, you don't come to the reunion asking for a plate. We're done with you. I'd have to totally cut ties for that person. So I'm wondering, these officers, I would love to hear any of their family or close friends speak out against this, because that's the same thing that we said about Derek Chauvin. And we wanted to hear his friends and wife and speak out against what he did. I would love to see these people's families speak out against them, because there's nothing they can say that made this right. And if they get off, they should all be in jail permanently, locked up with general population, and let them have to deal with that. Take your anger out on people who are waiting for you to come into that pen.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest, I don't need to hear from the families of the police officers because what are they going to tell me? Well, he's really a good person, and
Yeah.
I don't need to hear that crap. So
No, he's
yeah,
not.
keep that, keep that, because well, he's not like that at home. I don't need to hear that. He's not like that when he comes to the family reunion. I don't need to hear any of that. So yeah, you hear from them, that's cool. I don't need to hear from them. And I get the we don't put them all into one pot. I'm not. But you know what? If there's similarities and it comes down to what it is, I'm gonna call it as I see it. And I feel you. If it's five white we're not talking about the white on white crime. Oh, come on, stop it. We stand with everybody. So at the end of the day, we think I still say if it was a white guy in that car, they don't beat him up that bad. They may rough him up a little bit, but we've seen too many videos of unnecessary harm coming to black civilians based on that.
Yep, I agree.
Um, as we move on to this bullshit, I saw this article it came out of Yahoo News, right? And it says that with more businesses starting to adopt digital payment, customers are automatically being prompted to leave gratuity, many times as high as 30% at places that they normally wouldn't.
Hmm.
Now you, who have been in the service industry and not just working in the service industry, you've managed in the service industry, you have opened up stores in the service industry, you are an advocate for the service industry, you are an advocate for the tippers.
I am.
Defend this.
So
Defend me having to pay 30% at Chick-fil-A.
Listen, no one made you pay 30% for Chick-fil-A. They gave you an option and you could choose not to do that.
Uh-huh.
So, give an example. I was having a meeting and I ordered a bunch of Jimmy John's delivered through the app. I was crunched for time. I just went, yep, this, and I knew it was 100 something bucks. I had a budget of whatever I was going to spend. I just hit order. What I didn't realize is that the gratuity that defaulted on there was like 25%. So I gave like a $30 tip.
Mm.
And I was just like, I didn't want to do that. That's my fault
Wait,
because
why not?
it was just Jimmy John's delivery.
Hold on.
$30 tip. No, I'd maybe done 20, 10%. I mean, 20% of 100. I'd done that. I wouldn't do $30 tip for you just, bringing the food to my office. No, but
Well,
that
they
was
gotta
my
make it.
fault. I should have double checked the default settings and I didn't. You go to Starbucks. Starbucks before you couldn't do tips on um, electronic payments.
Mhm,
And so a lot of people pay with their card at Starbucks, especially with the Starbucks app and all that. So I don't mind it as an option, but you
mhm.
as the consumer, if you don't want to leave a tip, don't.
Okay.
So don't get mad at the businesses for trying to find a way because personally, if I go through a boutique coffee shop drive through and I'm paying with a credit card, I'm like, am I able to leave a tip? Like, oh no. I feel bad because I want to. I didn't have any cash. And so I like to be able to have that option where they can hang the thing out the window and hey, you're more than welcome just to put whatever. And I could put no tip. I can put 10%, 20%, other amount if I want. I don't mind doing that.
No,
But if you don't want a tip, don't.
it's when they go, and if you just answer the question on the, answer that question on the prompt. And you know what that question is always about the tip. And it's like, yeah.
Well, it's kind of like you go to the store, like, do you want to leave an extra dollar for the Muscular Dystrophy Association? You're gonna be like, well, crap, it's just a dollar. Or what they do now is you want to round up your change to the next
Yeah.
dollar, and that money gets donated to this cause. And you're like, crap,
And
no,
nah, I want all my pennies.
yeah. But I mean, there's
Give
nothing
it
wrong with them
back.
asking. You could say no. So I think
If it was no, no, no.
the people that get up in arms about tips and get mad about it, don't go, don't tip. That's it. Just don't tip, but don't be this baby about it. They shouldn't be doing this. I'm at Sonic. You just bought the food to my car. Okay, don't tip if you don't want to tip. But stop making these public outcries about how tipping is bad and it's annoying. If you're gonna be cheap and don't tip.
Businesses are using that as a way to lure in workers now. Like, you couldn't make money because we make everybody pay the tip.
Just saying, at the Starbucks when you do it, it's a tip pool. They all share it, so it
Yeah.
helps everybody. So I'm like, this is the way to help everybody. True, the company should pay more wages. If they do, your coffee's going to cost more than what it is right now. If
But the
they
coffee
increase
is
paying
high
them the
as it
wage,
is now. What are you talking
don't
about?
go. You don't have to go to Starbucks. You can get you some Sanka, some
The coffee
Folgers,
is
and
good as
make it
hell,
at
though.
home.
The
You're
coffee's good, though.
choosing to go there. Don't
It's good.
complain about how expensive it is. Do it
It's good.
yourself. Yeah, do it yourself.
It's good, though.
Yeah. Whatever they're doing is good. So you're willing to pay that $4 or $5 for that 700-calorie drink in the morning.
Yeah,
That's your
exactly.
choice.
You know, um, somebody. This wasn't a tip, but this woman in Oregon was awarded $1 million. Uh, what was this about? Because somebody wouldn't pump her gas. What's going on
Yeah.
here?
So I remember I used to have to travel to Oregon for work. And you got to fill up the rental cars.
Mm,
Well, there's certain parts of Oregon that the law is that they have to have an attendant pump the gas for you. So
mm.
you pull up, somebody comes out, you tell them I want to get $30 on, regular. You hand them your card, they put it into the machine, they pump your gas for you. Some cases they'll clean your windows and all that. But it's a thing, right? And so this woman pulls up and she's waiting. The guy would not come take care of her. So eventually she goes inside and says, "Hey, I've been sitting out here. This person won't come pump my gas." So someone else comes out, pumps the gas, for this lady. And then as the lady is getting ready to leave, she hears the conversation that the guy has with the other person. Says, "Hey, man, why don't you pump her gas?" And he says, "I don't serve black people."
Mm.
And then she was like, "Oh, really?" Boom, in $1 million lawsuit. And I don't blame her But I'm just like, Jesus Christ, you can't put gas into a black person's car. It's one thing to be racist, but that is like a whole different level of racism. I don't
You know
think
what?
black people. It's one thing you can't have rights. You can't have gas either.
I'm two reasons why I'm glad that he didn't though, because he could have done something else like, well, while I put gas in here, let me put this packet of sugar. You know what I mean? He could have done
True.
something else, because if somebody is that racist, I don't force them to do it. Like, for me, like, if you don't want me in your place, I'll never show up. It's okay. I don't go where I'm not wanted, right? You won't get my money ever, and so be the case. I like the fact that she was what he probably expected if she heard that would be that she'd get out the car and cuss him out, a couple neck rolls, all this other stuff, jump in the car and drive off. No, this woman says, "Let me go Caucasian on you. I'm going to file a lawsuit, and I'm going to do it the good old American justice way."
Yeah.
And she did with the lawsuit, which means this man obviously has no job anymore, because after that lawsuit, company's not going to keep him. It would really make it better if he was like a part owner of that gas station. That's the only thing that I really wish. Like, he was the owner of the gas station, or the son of the owner, or the cousin of the
Mhm.
owner, or the brother-in-law of the owner, so that they could really hit home and hurt, because that $1 million hurts deeper when it comes out of that family pocket, that inheritance. That
Mhm.
would be so much better.
So, and I love the fact that they called out his name, Nigel Powers. So, I hope that this helps Nigel not get more jobs. But it's the most ridiculous thing for anybody to be racist, period. It's ridiculous. But I'm
Hmm.
also a believer in the American dream. If you want to be racist, be racist. But you still, if you have a business or you work at a business, you serve everybody that comes to the business. And when you go home, talk about them all you want to, but do your job. You
I
don't
want
get
to
to
know.
dictate that I don't serve black people gas because I'm racist. You don't get to dictate that. And so he deserves all the smoke that he gets as the story gets out. I think this is in Beaverton, Oregon, and Beaverton is not a very large city. So I'm hoping that this impacts him in a major way. Uh, but right on for her for how she handled it, going through the proper channels. And she deserves every penny of that $1 million. And not because it's for her, it's to hurt that business that, hey, y'all hired this person. And I doubt that's the first time that he did this.
Well, so here's the thing, because I started to look up Nigel Powers, right? Obviously, because Nigel is a very British name. So I'm just wondering, who's this Nigel Powers and where's he coming from, right? Because she got $550,000 in punitive damages. But here's why, too. Because when this happened, she complained to managers, phone calls disregarded. Um,
Hmm.
Mr. Powers, Nigel, was fired a month after corporate records showed he had been written up several times for talking on. It's stuff that was. Here's the thing about it. She was originally, her lawyer saying she was originally going to let this go. She told her friends it was too disturbing. She didn't want to deal with it. And then she thought about it. It's too wrong. I have to do something about it. Give this woman a big round of applause. Miss Wakefield, you are a true Apollo legend, a true
Yep.
American hero, because this kind of stuff needs to be called out. Because you know what? If you're going to take our money, you're going to at least serve up a little respect with it too. Plain and simple.
Yeah. And the fact that you called that out just right. The fact that the managers did nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nigel only got fired because he kept talking to himself when at work, not
Mm-hmm.
because of the racist comments. And again, I'm sure this is not the first time
Mm-hmm.
that he's done this. So I applaud her for how she handled it, and she did it the right way. And I hope that business is hurt permanently.
Here's the thing about this. They never even I black people need to avoid this gas station, and anybody else who supports black people needs to get away from Jackson's food stores as well too, because here's something else that's in here. It's buried deep in the article. Powers was never questioned by the company about the comments. He was disciplined only for failing to serve customers in the order of their arrival.
Mm.
So we don't mind that you're racist, but make sure you serve the negros too, okay? Just make sure you serve them too.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I stay out of certain parts of this country, man. Jeez. They
I've
talk
been
about
in
the South.
Beaverton. I've been in Beaverton, and I never would have thought. Like I was surprised
Mm,
because Oregon. I mean, Oregon is a weed's legal in that state. There's
Okay.
just a lot of other times I've been out there in Portland as well as the smaller sticks of Oregon. I had never had an issue or thought there was an issue, but apparently,
Look, people like to talk about how racist the South is. They seem to forget America.
no.
All right, I'm gonna
Wow.
get off. I'm gonna get off
Yeah.
my racist soapbox.
Yes.
Since I'm actually not a racist, so you can tell your friend Reggie Mantle, I'm not a racist. Dina has called it out. I'm a doggist.
Yes. You are. You are a doggist. And Dina, I love that. I'm like, you are a doggist.
I am. Hey, don't forget, Wednesday we are back 10:15 right after Married at First Sight for another Married at First Sight season 16 Nashville recap. And then Friday we are back 9:15, 8:15 Central for Ready to Love, Terrell's new favorite show.
Nope. Nope. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through this season and then be done. Because when I commit to doing the show,
Yes.
even if I don't like it, I will
Hmm.
still continue to finish it.
You know,
And for those that like our commentary, don't like our commentary, still leave a comment. If you don't like it, that's awesome. I still want to hear it.
yep.
And if you do like it, keep spreading the love. We appreciate it.
Keep spreading the news.
You tried twice. It's twice.
I know I can't sing. I mean, I already know that. I'm giving somebody else something else to say about it. And they can't sing either. And
Now,
then they
not
laugh
they.
after it.
He can't sing.
Oh,
I
you can't
sound
sing
like
either?
Eddie Kane Jr.
Oh,
I can
Jesus Christ.
by
No, you can't.
myself in the car. I sound amazing.
Yeah, exactly, because nobody else can hear it. If Terrell sings in a car by himself, is there really a sound? No.
Yes.
Hey, I'm Yanni Rude.
And I'm just Terrell.
Make sure you follow us at Yanni Rude, at Just Terrell, and at RGRT Pod.
Yeah, send us some of your random thoughts, some of the bullshit you find on the internet. We'll talk about it on the show.
It's the Regular Guys Random Thoughts Podcast. Cheers.
Cheers. As I hold my Starbucks cup.
Yeah, how much did you tip for
And I
that, mother?
tipped. I tipped.
30%?
Yeah, $1. It's just black coffee. Just black coffee. I don't get the expensive stuff.